1440p gaming on a MacBook Pro, this is truly exciting. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Cloud Gaming Extreme channel. A huge shout out to Nvidia GeForce Now for giving us access to the RTX 3080 tier, which is now available in Europe. And this is a fantastic addition to the GeForce Now lineup, and I'll get into a few more details shortly. But let's start off with Cyberpunk 2077, showing the settings here at full 1440p, ultra ray tracing settings with motion blur and the other grain effects turned off, so we get the pure effects here. And just look at how well this runs as we're out and about, 60 plus frames per second, and this is no mean feat. And I'm playing on a MacBook Pro. 1440p with 60 plus frames per second in Cyberpunk 2077 at maximum settings is no mean feat for even the most expensive gaming rigs. So to be able to play this on a Mac is absolutely fantastic, and you can see here from the GeForce Now overlay, I'm actually getting a 12 millisecond ping to my local data center, which is EU West, as I'm in the UK, and this is just feeling like I'm playing native. Now MacBook Pro does have an issue generally playing graphics intensive games, but with GeForce Now it's having no issue at all, and my fans barely span up. As you can see from some gameplay here, and even with the shooting, I've got no input latency at all, and my shots are on point. The graphics in Cyberpunk are extremely demanding, so to be getting 60 plus frames per second driving around and also in combat is absolutely staggering, and to be able to play this on the Mac just felt so good. I can't believe how good this actually ran. So Cyberpunk 2077, one of the most demanding games, and is definitely getting some attention again. Definitely worth jumping back into if you've been taking a break, and not having to have this installed is a huge bonus. So let's have a look at some other games. Destiny 2 is one that can run at 120 frames per second. So in the settings here you can see I've got it at 2560, and I've turned the frame rate cap off, as this was generally set to 60, so I've turned that off and set all of the settings to highest with motion blur disabled. And once we get into the game, again you can see from the overlay that I've got 12 millisecond ping here, and the stream in the menus does dip below 120 frames per second, but once I get into game that stream does hit 120 happily. And you can see that the game FPS is actually under 120 FPS in some of these areas, but I'm getting that full frame rate, so it was buttery smooth. And just look how good this looks. Destiny 2 in 1440p, 100 plus frames per second, 120 capped on the stream, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. And once again felt like I was playing on my local RTX 3080, but I was on my MacBook Pro. This is a huge advancement in the GeForce Now architecture, but just look at how good Destiny 2 is here. Once again, no input latency, it's snapping on point from my MacBook Pro with just my normal gaming mouse through a USB hub. You can see from the FPS as we come inside we're hitting that 120 and even higher from the RTX 3080 equivalent on GeForce Now. The stream does cap at 120, but you will not notice. Getting that higher FPS on Destiny 2 just looks gorgeous. Look at the stream off of the vehicles here, it's just absolutely fantastic. So the last game we're going to showcase here is New World. Amazon New World has tailed off a bit with some of the issues with their in-game systems. However, it's still a hugely popular game and a great MMORPG if you want to get into it. This being on GeForce Now is a huge surprise in the first place, but you can see here even on maximum settings and at 1440p, we are getting fantastic frame rates, and again being able to play this on a MacBook Pro is just absolutely stunning. As we look in town, we do get those frame rate dips in town as expected, around the 40 to 50 frames per second, as this is a hugely demanding game in town, and unfortunately there does seem to be a little bit of a blur on New World, and I'm not quite sure why this is. This does seem to be an issue specific to New World, as when you saw Destiny 2 and Cyberpunk it looked very clear. So I just think the amount of detail that's in this game may be a little bit too much for the 50 megabits per second bitrate. As you can see, when we're in combat in New World, we're hitting 50 to 60 plus frames per second. This is pretty close to native RTX 3080 territory, When we've got less effects, we're hitting 70 to 80 plus here. Again, we are on the ultra settings, so if you did want to get higher FPS, you could reduce some of those settings. Otherwise though, it is absolutely fantastic to play locally, and these are good enough. I will not be playing New World locally on my RTX 3080 anymore, when I can just pick it up on GeForce Now from PC or Mac at the same frame rate. So absolutely amazed at the performance of GeForce Now on the RTX 3080 tier here. If you do want to pick it up, it is $90 or £90 for 6 months up front, and then you'll get the 3080 tier. So you will get dedicated RTX 3080 for all of your games, and you are able to save the graphic settings for those if you enable the option in the client as well. So huge benefit for the RTX 3080 tier, and highly recommended. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all things cloud gaming, and we will see you next time.